What if I told you that the universe is alive, just like we are? It can react and experience things as we do, and maybe it can hear us as well. Are we then living inside a living body, like an alien's mind? Or are we experiencing our life inside the mind of God? The mere idea might sound too imaginative and weird, but you'll be shocked to know that the structure of the universe has so many similarities with the structure of a living human brain. Both work on similar laws of science and follow functional patterns as well. And no, I'm not saying all this. This is a very respected theory by two honorable professors who believed in science and facts. Let's take a deep dive into the theory and try to understand what the reality is. So, everything started when two friends, Franco Vazza, who is an astrophysicist at the University of Bologna, and Alberto Folletti, a neurosurgeon at the University of Verona, met at a bar. At that time, Vazza was conducting research on the structure of the universe, and he started sharing its details with Folletti at the bar. Folletti was really impressed with Vazza's research, but something came to his mind that made him very curious. He also shared some of his research details with Vazza, and guess what? They found the structure to be very similar to each other. Any guesses on what Folletti was working on? Exactly, he was conducting a research on the human brain. And then a very interesting idea that would later impact the world of science greatly came to their minds. Why not compare the two? And thus began a thorough comparison of the brain and universe to find out how similar they actually were. Vazza, using statistical analysis, compared the brain's neural network to the cosmic web, which is the pattern of matter constituting the whole universe. He found out that within both systems, galaxies and neurons arrange themselves in long filaments or nodes between the filaments. Vazza tried to study the number of nodes in each network, that is the brain and the universe, and the connectivity between them more thoroughly. And the results were too exciting. There was an amazing similarity between the two networks, a similarity so high that even Vazza was shocked. Although there was a substantial difference in scale between the two structures of about more than 27 magnitudes, their qualitative analysis states that the diverse physical processes can build structures characterized by similar levels of complexity and self-organization. We'll go deeper into the similarities of these two networks a bit later in the video. For now, the study came as a huge update in the world of science. Many scientists accepted that this was something that couldn't be ignored. Not just that, some scientists even proposed the idea that the universe itself may have some sort of consciousness, or it might think. The idea is very bold. To understand the similarity between the neuron cells of a brain and the cosmic web of the universe, we first need to understand panpsychism. What does this term mean? The word panpsychism is actually made of two words. Pan, which means all, and psyche, which means soul or mind. It is a philosophical concept that focuses on the idea that all things have a mind or mind-like quality. Coined first by the Italian philosopher Francesco Patrizzi in the 6th century. However, the idea dates much earlier, tracing to the period of ancient Greece. The well-known astronomer, mathematician, and pre-Socratic philosopher Thales said that everything is full of life. Not just that, one of the most read Greek philosophers and poet Plato also stated that the world is indeed a living being endowed with intelligence. So how do you relate to your current life? Well, think like this. The bed on which you are lying right now, the bulb glowing inside your room, and even the walls of your house have some sort of consciousness in them, according to panpsychism. In recent times, the fact that empirical sciences haven't yet been able to explain how matter creates conscious experiences has generated renewed interest in panpsychism. Due to the significant developments in fields like neuroscience, psychology, and quantum physics, the interest has even increased, and new ideas are being shared. For some, panpsychism offers a very simple solution. It offers the idea that consciousness is a fundamental part of reality, and that all matter has some sort of basic consciousness. A well-known researcher, Henry Stapp, in 1999, asserted that consciousness might be the overriding force behind brain functions. He suggested that consciousness itself influences brain functions significantly. There is also a related idea, Panpsychism, that suggests that the universe is actually conscious. It is based on the same Panpsychism theory, but focuses solely on the universe. However, there are ongoing debates going on over this topic. Vaza, when asked about this idea, said, "We can't even define consciousness, so it's strange to attribute it to the universe." Now you might be thinking, what are you actually trying to say, man? Is the universe alive or not? Well, hear me out. Vaza's main focus during the study was to find out the similarities between the structures of two of the most complex networks existing, which are the universe and the brain. He wasn't trying to prove that the universe has a life, or it thinks. However, the results of his study will make you wonder once again what you are thinking right now. Let's take a brief look at the study in brief now. So, Franco Vaza and Felitti actually tried to find the similarities between these two complex networks on 3 different parameters: appearance, structure, and composition. The target of the task was pretty direct: to see if a living human brain and the universe have any sort of similarity in these 3 parameters. If yes, they could reach a conclusion, and if not, once again, they could reach a conclusion. So when the 2 friends first looked at the appearance of a brain and then of a universe, they found nothing to be similar. Both had great differences in terms of appearance. And on the very first parameter, they were getting a negative result. However, they wanted it to take a closer look, and so they thought, let's just take a look at the brain through a microscope. And the moment they increased the magnification of the microscope, things started looking much more exciting. They saw that the brain had tiny little dots, just like the galaxies in the universe. Sounds interesting, right? It became even more interesting when they increased the magnification to its highest. Now, they were not only able to see these dots, but also some lines that were connecting these dots to one another, which was very similar to the appearance of the universe. With this, the similarities were quite clear on the first parameter, which was appearance. Now, it was time to check these similarities on the second parameter, structure, and the results were something they had never even thought of. When Vaza and Felitti started examining the structure of the brain cell and the universe, they found a very strange thing. They saw that on average, one neuron of the brain cell is connected to 4 other neurons next to it, and on the other hand, in the universe, one galaxy is connected to 5 other galaxies next to it. This was mind-blowing. Just from these parameters, Vaza and Felitti found so many similarities that they started thinking that the universe might actually be a huge brain. If that was the case, whose brain is it? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. So far, they have found many similarities. However, since they were from the field of science, they had to clarify things even further. And for that, they started comparing the 2 networks on the third parameter, the composition. During this test, they first started comparing the number of objects present in both networks. According to their calculations and maths, a human brain has 69 billion neurons in there, and the universe has 100 billion galaxies. The numbers don't look very similar, do they? But hear this out. The 69 billion neurons in the brain account for 30% of the total mass of the brain. And the 100 billion galaxies in the universe account for how much? Well, you're absolutely right. The 100 billion galaxies also account for 30% of the total mass of the universe, making these 2 networks very similar. But that's not all. Apart from these similarities, the composition of the 70% remaining mass of these networks is also very similar. Vaza and Felitti found out that the 70% mass of both these networks, that is the brain and the universe, actually consists of inert substances that do not react with anything near them. In the case of the brain, the substance is water, and for the universe, it is dark energy. Now the result was out. Both scholars found surprising similarities between the brain and the universe in all three parameters. So, what does this mean? Can we call the universe a very big brain? But a brain can think. Can a universe think too? Well, the answer to this question cannot be made with certainty, not yet. You know, just because we found the appearance, structure, and composition of these two networks to be similar, we can't call them the same. But here's another interesting concept that'll make you think otherwise. So, when there's any sort of activity in a neuron at an atomic level, it starts acting randomly, influencing the other neurons around it as well. These random activities create a connection between these neurons, and that is how a thought is created in our brain. Now, just like this, the neurons of a galaxy, that is the stars, asteroids, or planets, collide with each other or interact gravitationally. These random moments also influence the substance or matter around them, which in turn influences the whole galaxy's gravity, allowing it to communicate with other galaxies in the universe. And this is how an event is created in the universe, just like a thought in our human brain. So, can we call these events the thoughts of the universe? Well, maybe, maybe not. And just like the thoughts make a human brain alive, can we also say that these events tell us that the universe is alive too? Once again, we have no concrete answer. There are so many debates going on this topic in the science industry at the moment, and the scientists haven't been able to come to a conclusion so far. So I'm leaving the answer to your own interpretation. Let me know what your answer is in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. If so, like the videos and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and also check the video popping on the screen to explore more.